Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you a bet that I just took, really like it, and then I'm also going to talk about how to find bets like this in the future on your own, and then also just going to talk a little bit about the fight itself at the end for anyone interested in that. But the strategy is a lot more based on top-down betting, which is what I really recommend getting into if you are interested in being a profitable bettor. So let's start it off. It's McGregor versus Holloway. You can see I have a lot of no on McGregor and yes on Holloway at 64 cents. That's the same bet. Now, what is that in sportsbook odds? So if you convert that to sportsbook odds, it's minus 178 on Holloway. Now, I just want to, right off the bat, show you that you can get minus 178 on Holloway on Kalshi, and you get plus 196 on McGregor on FanDuel. Immediate arbitrage there. You can do the math, bet a certain amount on FanDuel, a certain amount on Kalshi, guaranteed you make money. Now, I'm not doing that because I also think Conor is overpriced on the sports books as well, just not as much as on Kalshi, because Kalshi has a lot of recreational users. So I think it's less sharp, and you do have overbuying of big superstars like Conor. But the reason I will arbitrage some of it out. I don't want to hold this whole $5,000 position, but not all of it. And if you look at Pinnacle, which is considered the sharpest sports book because they have the highest limits, so they'll take the biggest bets, and they usually have the tightest spreads. Now they have it minus 223 plus 187, so actually a little more towards Conor than FanDuel. But if you look at the fair odds, so if you take out the VIG, basically you take out that margin and you find the middle point, it's plus 198, minus 198. So Pinnacle's kind of saying the fair odds is minus 198, and you're getting it at minus 178 if you get filled at 64 cents. That's an important caveat, and I'm going to show you that in a second. So you are getting value there, about 20 cents. And another way to prove it is you can immediately arbitrage it on FanDuel. That's an important thing when you're getting into sports betting, is to have respect for the market. So this is kind of figuring out where the market prices it and then making sure you're beating the market. That's the easiest way to beat sports betting. Now, I want to show you something important. If you just go on Kalshi like a normal recreational user and you hit no on McGregor at 65 cents and you want to get 1,000 shares, they sort of hide this. But first of all, you're getting it at 65 cents. So slightly worse. You're getting it at minus 186. It would still be profitable if you were actually getting it at 65 cents. But they hide. You see here, there's a 1.5% fee. So there's almost 1.6% fee. So it's actually like 66.6. So I don't know why it doesn't let you do decimal here, but close to minus 200, you're actually getting about fair if you just buy the yes. So it's really important that you open the order book and you go down here to 64 cents and you put 1,000 shares in. And if you do that, you can see there's no fee for basically on maker orders. When you're entering the order book, there's no fees. And I always exclusively pretty much do maker orders just because the taker fee is so absurd. You get the 1% cheaper on the order book, but then you also save the 1.6% on the fee. So you're saving like 2.5%. And that 2.5% almost every time changes a winning bet to a losing bet, especially on big markets like money lines on football games, basketball games. That's the difference that's going to make it a profitable bet versus a non-profitable bet. So that's super important. Now I'm going to talk about OddsJam a little. And so OddsJam is how I got into sports betting, how I became profitable, and I really recommend it for someone who is looking to get into profitable sports betting. So I'll leave a link below to the Getting Started guide at OddsJam. But basically what they do is sort of what I just showed you. They scrape the prices on all the sports books, and then they'll send you the opportunities that basically with this no vig calculation show up as plus positive expected value, meaning in the long run you're going to make money if you place that bet. And they also have a tab for arbitrage opportunities, which is also what I showed you here, where you can take McGregor at plus 196 and you can take the no on McGregor at minus 178. And so there you're just capturing that 20 cents for every dollar, or not exactly, it's less than that, but you are getting guaranteed money. And so yeah, they have this positive expected value tab. They have this arbitrage tab. I will leave that below. Now I have used it, and one thing I will tell you is you're going to get restricted on these sports books once they realize that you're making bets that are positive, like the line is moving in your favor. Eventually they are going to limit you. So that's why I don't have an OddsJam subscription anymore, because I just can't get money down, and I'm not really interested in asking my friends and family for their sports betting accounts. I'd rather just use the prediction markets and do it that way. But if you've never done it, and especially if you've lost money on these apps before, they're going to give you a larger leash, and you can definitely make a few $1,000s on those accounts for sure. And so I'll leave a link, like I said, below to that. I think it's a great way to get into sports betting as well, because everyone, when they think about it, they think about making a model. Especially with AI these days, Claude, you can make models a lot easier than was previously possible. But I would definitely recommend learning the top-down strategy and really gaining a respect for the market, because the market price is almost always within, I would say, 2% of the fair value, especially on the bigger markets. If you're doing more niche stuff, you're doing NASCAR head-to-head matchups, the market might be off there. But on stuff people are normally betting, you got to learn to respect the market. And I think top-down betting helps build that, as well as making money in the process. And then you can start kind of tinkering with getting into more niche spots, like I mentioned with the NASCAR head-to-heads. Now, this fight specifically opened at max minus 550. It's obviously down now to max like minus 220. I think part of that is Conor looks pretty good, as well as the fight's at 170 pounds, whereas I think most people thought it was probably going to be at 155 where they normally were fighting. I think the 170 obviously does help Conor, but the guy hasn't fought in 5 years, and his last fight he broke his leg. Max has been at the top of the game, very active, fighting 2 or 3 times a year against the top 3 or 4 guys in the division. Really hard to see Conor being the better fighter. He could always get a knockout, but I feel like Max bulked up to 170 is also going to be hard to put away. And Max's power is probably a little underrated as well. I just see Max kind of dominating this fight, especially in the later rounds. It's a 5-round fight. Conor not going to be good after 3 rounds is what I'm seeing. But again, like I said, the strategy is just not, it's not based on what I think. I always just use the numbers in the market, and especially for stuff like this, Conor McGregor on Kalshi, he's just going to be overbought. And a similar thing I did last week, Serena Williams was coming back. Just bet against Serena at 50%. She's playing my joint. So yeah, I'll probably post more if I have. This is kind of a unique situation where this fight's in 9 days, so the opportunity will actually be there for you guys who are watching the video to get filled. And one other thing, if you're still here, like, it looks kind of daunting. There's 240,000 shares in the order book. You're like, am I even going to get filled if I put it in there? Look at this fight. It's already done $6.5 million, and it's 9 days out. Like, yes, I guarantee there's going to be another $10 million traded on this fight. So yeah, you'll get filled. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions or anything else, and I'll see you guys later.